Rouge Cycling Podcast for stage 2 of the Tour de France 2025. We've got pre-stage or post-stage yesterday drama, got a hilly stage, thunderous, rainy weather conditions to begin the race, and indeed a really hilly finish where, despite having the yellow jersey on their team, Alpecin de Koenig had the favourite for the stage, but it's a different rider. Not Jasper Philipsen. Van der Poel was the favourite because this stage is much harder than yesterday, even though there were the crosswinds yesterday. 200 Ks, longest stage of the race, 210 with hills, 2,500 meters of elevation, but it comes at the end. We have 30 Ks to go, the Côte du Haut-Pichot, 1K, 9%, very steep. Then 17, 20 Ks of rolling flat, and then they do 3 consecutive hills. The 1K Côte de Saint-Étienne-au-Mont, 9.5%. Descent straight into the Côte du Trot, 800 meters, 8%. Then a rolling descent again, and then another kick to the line that's uncategorized, but it's got like 600 meters at 6, 7%. Peter Sagan won here in 2012 on liquid gas, I believe. He beat Bosenhagen in an uphill sprint. And on these climbs, these hills, we have headwind. Off the climbs, we got crosswind. So nervous day. But yesterday, Benji, the nervousness and the crosswinds, I think, caused a lot of stress even after the stage.
Yep, that's true. We had some drama in the media. First of all, I think we need to talk about the Remco Evenepoel drama, as in after yesterday's stage, Remco obviously a bit frustrated, goes to his team bus, rides off from the finish straight to his team bus. In doing so, on video, a video posted by Cycling News on, I think, Instagram, we see Remco telling a fan with a signature, like a book to put a signature on, whatever. Basically, could you go to the side, please? And Remco goes into his bus instead of giving the kid a signature. Now, I'll be honest, first reaction from me is, in the peloton, this happens 90% of the time because a lot of riders go into the bus first, then take care of showering, looking after themselves, especially when they're frustrated from the stage, and then come out and look at the fans, etc. So I had no immediate feeling of, okay, Remco, terrible person, blah, blah, blah. I can understand that some people see that as their initial reaction, though. So I'm not surprised that there was some negative feedback, quite a bit actually, towards Remco after that. Now, what was more surprising to me is that there was a response from Remco that evening. Remco was very vocal in response to Cycling News and just media in general, both on Instagram stories and in response in a comment on the actual original video, responding, did you also show what happened 20 minutes ago? Me giving signatures to lots of kids, etc. I don't care about the actual story of signatures, etc. I want to talk about the other topic here. I'm sorry, but Remco Evenepoel is trying to podium the Tour de France. Why the fuck is he letting social media get into his headspace? I know it's easier said than done, but take his phone away. Like, he needs to have a social media management team that does all of this for him. He should not be handling these situations because that takes so much energy from you before these stages that this has to negatively impact him in the race.
Yeah, it seems like I think he was frustrated with how the stage went. He said it was a silly mistake, them getting caught out in the crosswinds. It was. And although they weren't the only ones.
Yeah.
And then I think he blew it up kind of bigger than it actually was. I don't think there was much like negative backlash. Really.
Just in the comments.
Okay, but like...
Ignore it, let someone else from your team deal with it.
The internet can't hurt you. It's not real. Like, despite this podcast where you're watching live on YouTube, you know, they're just comments like...
We're not real.
Exactly, we're AI creations. Maybe in the future will be replaced.
No, thank you.
Then podcast hosts will be the first to be replaced. But yeah, during the Tour de France, you don't need that extra drama and stress. You know, you shouldn't be doom scrolling. I mean, no one should be doom scrolling, but if Remco is doom scrolling, you know, at 10 o'clock at night after Tour de France stages, yeah, I would recommend against that.
Maybe it's easier said than done because he's the center of attention of those topics, but his team needs to put him in a situation where this does not hurt him. His team needs to make that clear to him, stuff like that. So I feel like, I don't know, he needs to have like a team that handles that social media so he doesn't have to. So in a Grand Tour that he doesn't look at his social media, doesn't look at the comments on those videos. That's my personal opinion. Anyway, there was another similar topic actually in the media where there was an article, I think was it from Danish media, Patrick?
Yeah, it was in Politiken. I don't know what it is, but yeah, Danish media.
Basically an interview with the wife of Jonas Vingegaard, and I don't really like to dive into the details of family relationships within cycling and so forth, but this topic blew up a bit more than that, as in it basically addressed how Vingegaard's wife feels about Vingegaard's work situation. But how do I describe this properly? To me, the timing is annoying.
Oh no, but it's in 2 sentences. It was more that the main 2 quotes from the article were, which was tweeted by Brian Nygaard, was indeed about firstly Vingegaard doing too many altitude camps away from home, and then the second was about having split ambitions in the Tour de France, going for stage wins, which sort of means Van Aert or whoever going for stage wins. I think they were the 2 parts of the article that got everyone's attention.
Well, there was also one about DIY that took attention, where there was a bit of a frustration in the article from Vingegaard's wife that Vingegaard was, from the team, not allowed to necessarily do his own DIY and lay new flooring, whatever it was in the article. But I think that's a story with many teams, that they don't allow riders to do injury risky activities contractually even. So for example, I think Lefebvre said it the other day in an article, I'm pretty sure, that with Quickstep, riders are not allowed to drive motorcycles, etc. contractually, because they consider it a dangerous activity. If Jonas Vingegaard, sub 60 kilo guy, rips a hernia while pulling out the flooring of his apartment, that's a massive problem for Visma Leasebike, who's paying him millions, who's paying a lot of money for insurance as well. That being said, I think the most annoying part for this whole situation is, just like with Remco Evenepoel, this falls on day 1 of the Tour de France, of his most important race. I don't think she should be doing interviews within a month of the Tour de France starting like that.
Yeah, it's obviously not the probably thing that Grisha Nierman expected to be asked about this morning at the press.
I don't care about Grisha. It's more, Vingegaard shouldn't be influenced. Mentally, his headspace should be on the race.
Yeah, but I think it is. I think he's not on Instagram responding to cycling news comments. I would say, but yeah. I mean, all I can say is that I tried to put together this lamp with my wife. It came in a flat pack this week, and we came pretty close to divorce. So, I mean, we have a bad track record putting together IKEA flat packs together. So, we had to work out our own system, which is we do it in turns. I put together like a few legs and then clock up. Why is there a cat in the house? That's not my cat.
Oh my God, you're right. Anyway, those topics aside, I don't really like talking about it too much.
I don't think it's not an issue. Like, Van Aert and Vingegaard had it ironed out before the Tour de France. Van Aert went for stages in the Giro, takes pressure off. He helped Yates win the Giro, did the same in 22, 23 Tour de France. You're going to get the best Van Aert when he has some freedom, and that's what's going to happen in this race. And we saw this stage, he fully sacrificed his own result, maybe too generous even.
Maybe, but I also wasn't necessarily believing in Van Aert's chances today.
Yeah, but he fully just did his job, so I think it's a non-issue.
Okay, let's start talking about the actual stuff we want to talk about, which is racing. We've got an initial breakaway up the road, and that includes Yevgeny Fedorov, Andreas Leknesund, Brent van Moer, Bruno Armirail. So it's not the breakaway that we were potentially viewing at yesterday, because we saw the parkour and we thought, okay, based on the start list, based on the current situation in GC, there's only a few teams that will control. Alpecin was the main one, where Philipsen and Van der Poel, Philipsen in yellow, Van der Poel, their main candidates for today, would be the one to control. But other teams, there was another team controlling. Intermarché was controlling for Binyam. For me, that is delusional. I had 0% chance in Binyam to win today's stage.
Yeah, I think it has to do with him coming second yesterday. He's in the white jersey. I think if he doesn't come second yesterday and gets caught in the crosswind split, I think they don't go for it. But I think they just got a bit caught up maybe. They got the jersey. They want to ride. In the end, is the breakaway going to win? I thought there was a chance, more than before the race. With the way the teams were behaving, there was zero chance of the break. And, because instead of Jonas Rouge being in the break for Wanty, he's pulling behind it all day with Dillier. And like I said, Alpecin are happy to control if they get a bit of help. They don't want to do it all themselves. But yeah, I think, to me, teams are still looking at these stages, Benji, as if it's 2010 or something.
Yeah.
Like, if there's Van der Poel and Pogacar and Visma,
And Remco.
and there's anything uphill near the finish, it's not a versatile sprint stage anymore.
Yeah.
It's for punchers.
Especially when the climbs are as steep as they are today. They're not easy. They're the ones where sprinters will struggle to follow. And also, when Binyam came up the ranks initially, we thought, okay, this guy's versatile. This guy can actually climb a bit for a sprinter. I do feel like we've stepped down a little bit from that feeling throughout his career. He's now a good sprinter, a really good sprinter. But versatility-wise, he has not been the rider that we maybe expected him to become 5 years ago. That doesn't take away from the rider he is now. That's the reality. Nonetheless, the situation is indeed those two teams control. Alpecin and Intermarché. Gap is about 2 minutes 30 maximum, I'm pretty sure. And we get towards the first hill zone. Leknesund takes some KOM points. And I gotta say, these KOM point battles have been pretty fiery in this Tour de France so far, yesterday especially. But we already see GC teams being nervous a bit. Because in this first hill zone, we're talking about 100k to go roughly. Also a bit of crosswind happening, quite a bit of wind. And crosswind happening doesn't necessarily need to lead to actual echelons in the peloton. If we look specifically at the situations on the road, then those GC teams moving up causes people to fight for positions. In doing so, people get squeezed to left and right. Teams that try to come to the front fail to come to the front. In doing so, get squeezed back to the back. And that lands on crashes. And we had quite a few crashes.
A lot more today.
Dunbar at M8, so a small one.
They are caught up, yeah.
Not really a crash there, I would say. Van Eetveld was maybe the biggest victim of the early crashes. Fell into the ditch is what it seemed to me. Dunbar right, maybe a quick step rider involved in that situation as well. So stuff happening there. But in my notes, I've got Moscow versus Soler. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Moscon versus Soler.
Yeah, it was Moscon. I mean, yeah, there was just no one could really keep control the whole day. It was really hectic. Broe, it seems there was a very big shift, Benji, from yesterday.
Yeah.
Because today they got told they have to ride all in for Roglic and Lipovitz. What were they doing yesterday? And so we had Meus and Van Poppel on rouleur duties. They didn't try to even survive with Pithy for the sprint. In the end, that's probably the right thing because it was too hard, even for Emmaus. Like we said, this stage is too hard. And so, but it is strange that they just completely changed course because of one stage, you know, like it shouldn't have been, it should have been obvious what the designated roles were for Meus and co in the first week. But yeah, it was, because what was happening on these hills,
yeah,
they go hard into the bottom and then the teams that get to front position, they then start sort of blocking the front. They don't pedal over the crest really, really hard. And then the domino, it's like a reverse domino effect, or the elastic comes back in, gets really bunched, and at the back, they're like track standing. One guy has to stop, and yeah, people were just going into the hedges or everywhere. Renard, there's quite a few mini crashes. No abandons, though, I don't think.
No, I don't think so as well today. I think Van Eetveld was the worst crash, but he got back on the bike and he got back to the peloton initially. Probably got dropped towards the end, but I'm not completely sure about that. We've got next up basically the intermediate sprint coming up, and there the breakaway takes the majority of the points. So 4 riders in the breakaway take 20, 17, 15, 13 points. So there's 11 points available for the peloton, in which we see a very close sprint actually. We didn't see the entire lead up to the sprint, and we'll get to that. But it's a very close sprint between Tim Merlier on the left side of the road, Milan and Binyam next to that, and Philipsen on the right trying to move up as well. In the end, Philipsen gets fourth in that sprint. But regardless of the results here, we see a super angry Jonathan Milan after the line. And he's super angry at one man, Binyam Girmay. And in the meanwhile, just behind, we see Pogacar seemingly gesticulating, I don't know if that's an English word here, towards Paul Penouet. I don't know if he's complaining about Penouet or if he's complaining about Binyam to Penouet. But on screen, in that sprint itself, I didn't see anything where Binyam did anything wrong.
Yeah, we didn't see it, but then there was a longer shot. It shows that Binny, in order to follow his train, gave Milan a bit of a shoulder. Milan, you know, maybe didn't expect it, or I don't know, but Milan was way too aggrieved for something that he does every other week.
Yeah.
From what Binny did, I think it was pretty... Is it normal? But it's not surprising that he follows his train, and it's not like he didn't take his hands off the bars or something. And so, yeah, I think Milan was a little bit too worked up about it. Intermarché saw the funny side. They tweeted that Jonathan Milan was what was he?
He was angry.
He was
that,
angry that Beanie has pineapple on his pizza, and you know what also has a pineapple flavor, Benji? Pure Performance.
Really? What a segue.
Triple magnesium glycinate. Exactly. That's incredible segue. And that's who brings you this episode. Pillar Performance, a sports micronutrition company focused not only on what gets you through to the finish line, but what gets you to the start line again and again in peak condition. And Pillar's triple magnesium, it's been a game changer for not just our recovery and sleep, but also used in the pro peloton. I take 1 scoop 30 minutes before bed. I've changed actually to the powders instead of the tablets. And actually, the flavors are really, really nice. It's not like nasty, disgusting sports shakes that maybe aren't tolerable. They taste really, really good. And you can start and end your day with triple magnesium. It makes you sleep a lot better, improves if you track your recovery score with anything, any wearable. You can see it for yourself. Try it for 30 days and see if it improves your recovery score and your deep sleep. It's also batch tested and safe sport tested. So if you are athletes, I know some of you are listening are athletes. Well, all of you are athletes in your own way. I believe that, man.
I believe it as well.
I also believe we're all our own athletes.
I'm sorry, if you have to follow cycling every single day during a Tour de France, you're doing more effort than the cyclists themselves.
Oh yeah, we both went out today. We were training. I mean, we're making big changes from previous years. I mean, you went for a decent ride for 2 hours. I went for a run.
Yeah, I met Mikkel Bjerg, Matthias Norsgaard, and Alexander Kamp at Intermarché, which lovely guy. But I may or may not have forgotten that he rode for Intermarché before I saw him on the road.
To Danish guys. There you go.
Yeah.
If you want to try it out, head to pillarperformance.shop, or for North American listeners, thefeed.com/pillar, and use code ROUGE for 15% off your first purchase. All right, intermediate sprint done. I would say the breakaway is irrelevant at this point. The breakaway had also crashed itself in the slippery roads, and we get into the position battle. We have the first climb, 30Ks to go. It's maybe the hardest climb, and the drag race was crazy. It started at 55, 60 Ks to go. We got quick step. You were saying the whole time, Benji, I don't know if it was this climb or the next climb, but I think
Schachmann was the next climb.
Next climb. You got to pick your battles.
Yeah.
And understand that it's a really fine line. If you start 25 Ks to go with GC leader plus 2 riders, or plus... let's say plus 3, but one's Valentin Paris-Pantra. So you're not going to make it 25 Ks.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it. On the other hand, you can't go to the back and say we're going to do a Bora Hansgrohe UAE Tour sprint lead out coming late on the wide roads, because they aren't wide roads. There's also crosswind. There's also crashes at the back. So it's a really fine balance, and we saw basically no team able to dominate the front. I think Bora were quite good with Pithy and Moscon and Van Dijk's, but Remco got overtaken. He lost a lot of positions.
It's just in the last kilometers towards that first climb, the Côte du Haut-Pichot, we see one quick step rider on one side of the road with Remco overtaking the rest of the teams, but it's still 2 kilometers to go towards the climb. If you want to do that, first of all, it's never going to work if you try that in the last 500 meters, because then everybody else has the position and will never give it away. If you try it with 2 kilometers to go, and that rider goes to the front with Remco, but that front rider is kind of gassed after getting Remco to the front, then in the last 2 kilometers before that climb, you will get overtaken again. And that's exactly what happens to Remco and his teammate there. And at the end of the day, Remco starts this fast climb in maybe position 50, and that's being conservative. I'm pretty sure it was like 70 plus. So positioning of Soudal Quickstep and Remco is disastrous in these kind of stages. We've seen it at LBL, we've seen it at the Dauphiné, we've seen it yesterday in the crosswind stage, but also today. They need to find a solution, and I think the sad reality is that our team is not strong enough to do it in the first place here.
No team was. I mean, every team would have had a plan here today, Benji, and then I saw 2 riders from the 2 strongest teams using riders that no way that would have been the plan that early, I don't think. Tim Wellens?
Yep.
Poggy's most important rider in this whole race, is eating a shitload of wind going into this climb, 30 Ks to go. And then he's even pacing the climb. Wow, Van Aert, possibly, I think he was 3rd favourite for this stage, is riding the front, doing the drag race with Affini for Vingegaard, 30 Ks to go.
He shouldn't have been 3rd favourite in my opinion, but...
No, but like, they're using their big riders for this climb, 30 Ks to go, and the quality of rider being used, like, shows how you need to use anyone that's there to stay in position.
And I think it is the right decision to make, because at the end of the day, the positioning for the climb is almost more important than setting the tempo on the climb. Because being there's going to be someone with a teammate that will set the tempo on the climb. So it doesn't matter if it's your teammate or someone else doing it. And if you then look at the launch towards the climb, if you're not in position, you're not in position. With Remco here, for example, on that first climb, we see Visma Lease with Wout van Aert. Wout van Aert basically taking the front with Vingegaard in the wheel. And on the left side of Wout van Aert, from his perspective, we see Wellens basically trying to half-wheel Wout van Aert at the front. And then there's Pogacar coming up by himself on the other side of the road on this climb. And Wout really can't keep it up for the entire climb. We noticed that, and he goes off the front. Wellens takes over, and we've got just a very hard-paced climb. That's the reality of this first one. No attacks, very hard pacing, and I'm wondering, okay, where's Remco? We get a helicopter view over the top. The big guns like Pogacar, Vingegaard get over the top with the front few riders. No attacks from them. Remco is second last position in the group.
But that's because there was a crash.
Oh.
So there was a crash with, I think, Big Johnny Milan.
Yes.
And he hits a spectator. Remco, because of his bad positions behind that crash, and you see him scooting around, he had to close the gap himself. You know, that's going to cost you. It's also headwind on these climbs. I know they're steep, but it matters. And as Benji says, he just makes it over the top. I mean, missing it's a small group. It's not a big group. I mean, there's Narvaez, Almeida, Poggi, Jurgensen, Campenarts, Vingegaard, and Van Aert just makes it.
Yeah.
Van der Poel has to freelance. I don't know if he had any teammates right there in that group of 15. The French puncheurs are all accounted for and correct. Gregoire, Vauquelin, Alaphilippe, lovely to see. Also, we saw on the I would say the TV, Benji, with the teams, they're giving away a lot of info that in previous years was not like shown on TV. Like they're showing Total Energies being like, okay, at kilometer 94, there's a key crosswind moment. You need to be in position there. They showed Tudor today. They said, Tudor, they communicated, Alaphilippe feels a lot better today. He's going for the stage. We go for him. I was like, okay.
I think, I said it yesterday while watching the race. I love having the radio tour and the actual radio messages on TV, but there's clearly too much tactical information being given away. And that's what you're pointing at here. And I also feel like that's the case yesterday. I feel like that's the case today. And I think within the next 2 years, one of the big teams will complain about this. There's going to be something on TV that will give something proper away. And there's going to be drama about this whole radio tour thing. And teams will pull out of that agreement, etc. if they can. Anyway, we're getting over the top of that first climb. You said it, group formation like that. But we do see the second group coming back, and that still includes Jasper Philipsen, who also pretty strong day up to this point. And the next climb is actually quite far away. It's about 15, 20K roughly of undulating terrain. Ooh, my vocabulary, it's going up.
But yeah, it's crosswind a bit. It's not that exposed, some headwind, and everyone comes back because who's going to pace? Like, Pogacar's got no advantage to make Narvaez pace on the flat for 17Ks. Visma got Benoit just coming back. And maybe Simon Yates or whoever, Koos, Quickstep Domestique could come back, Enkhorn and Schachmann, and that's exactly what happens. And so the big group comes back. It's still reduced. We saw Binny came back later, and it's just it's literally they just do the whole thing again. Drag race, EF. I'm not sure who they were going for today, but they were using, I think, Healy. I think they were going for Powers today because he's quite fast.
Yeah.
And
well, Wout would know.
Exactly. Visma know that firsthand. And so because Healy was doing the lead out.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, Healy's the punchy, but how can Healy win? I actually think Healy could win in a certain situation if he gets over and attacks with a Vauquelin. Anyway,
we'll get to group dynamics.
Yeah, I was surprised anyway. I would have used Valgren, Asgren, Sweeney. But anyway, they get it right. They hit this climb really, really well. And then I think it's Benoit, like Visma gets swamped, but not too badly. There's a double
roundabout, mate.
There's a bad roundabout, then a sweeping left-hander 180. No one's on their train. You're just like hoping to start in as good a position as possible.
And the key point before that second climb was that roundabout. The roundabout where one side was significantly longer
Yes.
than the other side. And we see Quickstep taking the right side of the roundabout.
Catania.
EF actually takes the wrong side of the roundabout after they swamp Visma and Leasebike. Visma and UAE on the left side. And we see that Remco only has Eenkhoorn there, and Eenkhoorn loses, well, he loses himself. It's only Remco from that point onward. Visma tries to move up Jonas after that roundabout on the left side, and Pogi moves himself up in this situation on the right side of the road. So he's not with teammates at this point. His teammates are on the other side, Wellens and Nervais, before this climb. So he's moving himself up again, which shows that we keep nailing on this, but he likes doing it himself. I think it's as simple as that. And it's also a trusting aspect, you know?
I think it's you can try to follow your team's wheel relentlessly the whole day, or also just go the best way or the safest way. And he's making these judgment calls himself.
He'd rather have his teammates at the front when he gets there.
Yeah, exactly.
Than having them trying to bring him up.
He's like, you stay there, I'll get to you.
Yeah.
You struggle with positioning more than me. You get to the front. I mean, Wellens doesn't, but Narvaez does.
Yeah.
Narvaez shouldn't go back and get Poggi. Because once he gets to the front, you want to keep him there. Narvaez was excellent today. And yeah, it was a mess into the run-in. Everyone's sort of jumbled up. There's actually a lack of control initially. Askey just sends it with Benoit. Wellens drops the wheel of Benoit. Benoit actually could have continued there and then maybe made it harder for Van der Poel, but Van der Poel gets across to Benoit's wheel. Benoit then puts the pace on, and I'll have to rewatch it. It looked like everyone was kind of, well, not redlined, but no one was immediately looking to attack off the Benoit pace. Van der Poel swung out, not wanting to take it up. I don't know if he was bluffing. I think he was, because he swings out. Looks like he's fucked. I think then Narvaez or somebody takes over. No, Jurgensen takes over, attacks, and then Van der Poel swings into fifth wheel and then immediately just starts following them. So it's like, he's clearly fine.
Yeah, he's clearly fine, but it's also, when you look at the riders in that front seven, yes, maybe they could have attacked, but what would have happened after the attack? There's also that feeling, and I'm not so sure all of them were very comfortable, because the tempo, it's not just, you might think, okay, it's a short climb. They should all be fine at this point. It's not how it works. There was a long fight for positioning where these riders are putting high watts to even be in position in the first place. They're spending a lot of energy in the run-up to the climb. So halfway the climb, it's very possible that they're on their limits, relatively, and that they're not looking forward to potentially putting in an attack right now, not feeling comfortable enough to do so. And I did feel like Jorgensen wanted to attack, or had to attack at least, because I'm sorry, but if Benoit goes off the front and Van der Poel goes off the front, like you said, swings off, goes into fifth position, then we see Pogacar at the front with Vingegaard, with Jorgensen, with those riders there. The scenario for that to happen, for Visma to do anything, is Jorgensen attacks. And he tries to attack on the right side, but Pogacar moves to the right side of the road at the very exact moment and kind of blocks Jorgensen accidentally. But in doing so, Jorgensen's attack became telephoned in. Like, Pogacar has a much easier time reacting to a Jorgensen that has to attack from a slower momentum than if he had the same momentum he wanted to have passing Pogacar. Anyway, Pogacar gets to the wheel of Jorgensen, who is trying to attack Vingegaard on the wheel of Pogacar. And then I look and I'm like, whoa, Remco's back. Throughout that entire climb, I did not see Remco up to this point. Or was I just blind?
I think he just worked his way back. Almeida and Narvaez were a bit further behind. The punchers were there of Vauquelin. And this, to me, was looking really like there was going to be a lack of control and a Victor Lafay. This is why I picked Vauquelin yesterday. I thought it was going to be a lack of control. Van der Poel, has no teammates. And the UAE domestiques really changed this race. Because I think if Narvaez... No, I not think. I am 100% sure if Narvaez doesn't return, an attacker wins. And it's going to be a Vauquelin, an Oscar Onley, whoever, an Alaphilippe. But Narvaez just comes back after that climb. Poggi was not relaying full. Remco was kind of relaying. Visma guys weren't relaying. Van der Poel's waiting. Van der Poel doesn't need to relay full. Why? Like, he's got the fastest sprint of anybody in this group, in the group behind, in the third group. He doesn't need to relay. He needs to conserve his bullets and gamble. And Van der Poel gambled a lot. And Vingegaard attacks over the top of the climb as it leveled off a bit. I think there was Only maybe in his wheel. Pogacar maybe 3. Remco's right there in his wheel. They stop. Vauquelin goes on the right. Jurgensen in his wheel. He goes. And then this one I thought was going to go because Only started chasing full. He doesn't get across. He stops. I'm not sure which Israel it was. Maybe Lutsenko. I think it was Lutsenko. Bridges across to the 3. And the UAE have 2 domestiques. So Almeida's chasing, controlling Jorgensen. But that's just Almeida, Benji, on a false flat downhill. Vauquelin's pulling full. Jorgensen doesn't commit.
Yep.
And Lutsenko's just bridged across. Vauquelin is really angry after this stage. He says, we translate, I don't understand it. We were away with Jorgensen. Why didn't he ride with me? I don't understand. I'm a bit hot. And I shouldn't say these things straight after the stage, but it's a shame. I was very strong. If
he's right.
If we're with 2 or 3, we can maybe play for the stage. I'm frustrated, and he's right.
Like, Matteo fucked up in that situation. Is it an absolute disaster? Probably not, but that is the kind of situation you want. Like, I don't believe in Jorgensen co-leader. But even if you don't believe in it, if Jorgensen, Vauquelin, and Lutsenko get away, takes bonus seconds away from Pogacar.
Takes all the bonies away, yeah.
So Pogacar, who will obviously take bonus seconds on Vingegaard if they go to the line together in the front group here, Jorgensen has to ride in that situation. Maybe the legs were saying no, that's a possibility, but it looked like that was not the case. So Jorgensen hesitated too long, and that too long became the downfall of the 3-man breakaway, which was then closed by Almeida. Would they have made it otherwise?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it doesn't make what Vauquelin says wrong.
No, Vauquelin's right. And yeah, Jorgensen probably should have, you against Van der Poel and Poggi on this finish, the chance to win for anybody else is 0 pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a flat finish after a kicker. UAE will control if it comes back to like once they had Narvaez and Almeida, then it was too hard to attack. Maybe some others should have attacked. I don't think they could because Almeida set a pace. And yes, that group comes back. Narvaez paces. Almeida sets a pace on the last kicker. Alaphilippe goes for it, stops, chops Vingegaard out of Pogacar's wheel. Vingegaard comes back around. Van der Poel begins to slowly lead himself out, and Van der Poel just dusts everybody in this sprint. Pogacar's in his wheel and comes second. It looked closer on the front end shot, but to be honest, Van der Poel had this under control, and he wins the stage. Pogacar second, Vingegaard third, Gregoire fourth, Alaphilippe fifth. I mean, that's still good results for them. Only sixth, Peripintre seventh, Vauquelin eighth. So we got another 4 French guys in the top 8. Velasco ninth, Berkmo's 10th. And in terms of the GC, Philipsen led the, say, it's not even a sprinters group. It's like GC riders and punchers in there, so that's still pretty good on 31 seconds. But I think we gave we ignored Florian Lipovitz, Benji.
Yeah.
So Bora was split, and I'm not sure if it was Pithy or Lippo himself, but he drags them back, and then he attacks solo, and Almeida rides full to bring him back. And I don't want to write anyone off prematurely, Benji, but Roglic should be finishing better than 22nd on a finish like this, after Lipovitz is the one that shut the gap.
Yes, but can I be honest? After the Giro, it's hard to say. Obviously, what happened between Giro and Tour de France, etc. for Roglic, his preparation towards the Tour de France, it sounded a bit meh. Roglic's interview a few days ago, where he was like, I think the interviewer asked him basically, is it still a goal of yours? Is it still a dream of you to have the yellow jersey at the top step at the end of the Tour de France? And for him to answer, I don't really care. At this stage, I'm happy about my career. That's a great mentality, to be clear. He should have that mentality, being happy about his career, because it is a fucking great career.
Yeah.
But it is kind of an interview where I'm like, does he believe in it? Because I really don't.
Like, does he believe that he doesn't care that he didn't win the Tour de France?
No. Does he believe in his chance at this Tour de France? That interview makes it sound no.
No, and sorry, I just hit my mic. And I think the problem is, like, sponsors are paying a lot of money. The teams and riders and staff are investing a lot of time not to hear your GC leader on a lot of money say, you know what, this big Tour de France malarkey, could take it or leave it, to be honest. No, but they're not. They're not, and I'm sure some of the sponsors after yesterday's stage were like, "What the fuck is going on?" And
yeah, especially yesterday's tactics.
well, yeah, Red Bull rode completely different today.
Yep.
Much better as a team for GC.
Lipovic looks strong, like Dauphin is strong.
Lipovic it looks stronger, yeah.
But 3-week Lipovic, I'm not sure I believe in.
I mean, this is a punchy position stage. It's not. I think if Roglic gets to the first rest day on 1.5 minutes of Poggy and he hasn't crashed, I think they'll take it.
I think so too.
I think they'll take it. You're still in the game for podium.
If you look at this first week, there's a 50% chance he crashes out. Same counts for Remco.
Yeah.
So if those riders, Remco should take time in the time trial. He lost time on the first stage. So that's going to balance each other out, I'm pretty sure.
And Pog took another 6 bonies.
2 seconds on Vingegaard as well, Pogacar today. And have we done the entire top 10? I'm pretty sure we have, right?
We have, but I could do the revised GC. Van der Poel goes into the yellow jersey ahead of his teammate, who loses it. 4 seconds ahead of Pogacar, 6 seconds ahead of Vingegaard. Vauquelin in 4th on 10 seconds with Jurgensen and Mas on stage placements, and they made the crosswind split yesterday. Then Philipsen on 31 seconds. Blackmore on 41 with Johannesson and O'Connor, who got dropped today but made the crosswind split yesterday. So I should say Carlos Rodriguez also lost 31 seconds with Tejada, Thomas, O'Connor and co. And then there's a bigger group on 49 seconds with Felix Gall, Remco. So yeah, 50 seconds more or less for Remco. And this is not the last bonus second Poggy's probably going to take before the TT after stage 4.
Yes.
Anyway, Remco going to yellow after the TT, he's going to need a Pog to have a stinker again for that to happen. Because the Dauphiné was shorter, and I think Pog did lose like 40 seconds. So he needs the best TT of his life and Pog to have a stinker.
Yeah, I think it's also just over the limit. Like, I was expecting, or I was looking at a time gap of 35 seconds roughly as like the rough estimation between Remco and Pogacar in the flat time trial. Jonas similar time as Pogacar, up and down, I don't really care. But I see it as difficult now for Remco. It's not impossible, but I see it as difficult to take yellow after the time trial, which before the race looked as the obvious pick to be in yellow after the time trial. So that's honestly most likely going to be Pogacar now.
Looks like Pogacar, yeah. And I think winners and losers from the day, Alpecin, they just keep winning Tour de France stages. Philipsen, I still think, is on for green. They're not going to go for Van der Poel green. It's Philipsen still. I think that's probably correct. Pogacar and his team did all they needed to do.
Yep.
Wellens early, Narvaez saved it at the end. Almeida did what he had to do. And
Pogacar doesn't need to attack in these first 2 stages. He's the best GC rider on any terrain in this Grand Tour. So
wait, he doesn't need. Why does he need to take a risk here? So he still played for the stage win, and he beat Poggy and he beat Van der Poel in a sprint on the Dauphiné. He still got 6 bonies, and so
fair to Jonas though. When Alaphilippe took his position in the sprint, I was okay. His bonus seconds are gone. But then Vingegaard to come across on the outside, past Alaphilippe, back to the wheel of Pogacar. Loved seeing that. The dog in him was on fire that day, and to reduce the damage to 2 seconds only on the stage, I think that's a good outcome, especially when this fly is annoying me so much.
Bro, Alaphilippe is addicted to dropping the wheel
no,
to Poggy and
his respect. Talking about Alaphilippe,
only was good.
My fantasy team is doing fantastic, buddy. I had Philipsen in it, Van der Poel in it, Pogacar in it, Alaphilippe in it, Vauquelin in it. I am cooking. I am 328th of 29,900. I'm sorry, but if I don't get a crown, at least a tiara.
And Champoussin crashed today. He was going to be there. I'm telling you, Champoussin was going to be. He was going to be there. I think he would have won. I think.
I don't think you want to talk about your fantasy team based on your expressions.
No, it's fine. We're chilling. I would say losers. Yeah, Visma missed a chance to win the stage, either for Van Aert or Jorgensen. But again, Van der Poel was the favorite. And then Ineos losing time on this, like with Rodriguez. And then
I'm sorry, but I don't think this stage has actual losers.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal, to be honest. It's just a puncher stage. Okay, tomorrow's stage from Valenciennes to Dunkirk. We do the Mont Cassel tomorrow. 2.3K is 4.1%. It's the only climb, categorized climb. It's a solitary point. Tomorrow's stage will be the one where the super combative should go to whichever poor soul is made to go in the breakaway tomorrow because it ain't happening. It's a flat finish. There could be crosswinds, but I think the forecast is chilled out a little bit more. And then maybe people will not be surprised as they were yesterday. So I think we're going to get the first big bunch sprint of the Tour de France.
Tim Merlier. Got to do it before you pick him.
I think Milan and Trek get it right. I think they got a bit unlucky yesterday when I see the position they were in with 5. I don't know what happened. I'll go with Milan and Trek to get it right tomorrow. But I think we have a big bunch sprint tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's raining or not. Overcast.
If Merlier wins tomorrow, there's 3 Belgian victories in a row. That's a controversial statement, but I'll take it. Mathieu's basically Belgian.
I guess, yeah.
Luke agrees behind the camera.
Luke agrees. Luke doesn't want... Luke's against private jets. We personally, at LRCP, we had many private jet companies come to us.
Yeah, we rejected all of them.
Saying, listen, you know, you want to fly private? And they're saying, listen, no. We're not doing that. So
so all the way from Oxford to Andorra, I had a private jet option. I decided to fly economy.
Right. If you have to, if you can save 2 hours to fly to your Dubai golf simulator from Alicante to Belgium, wherever he lives, you have to do it.
I'm sorry, but
he's so fucking sunburnt in the photo too. That's the funniest thing. Like, bro, you've just taken it to Dubai. Oh, it made me laugh.
Anyway, I gotta say, his response was even funnier to me. Like in the comment section when Mathieu doubled down on the private jet thing, saying that it was for performance reasons that he uses private jets, and that's why he became an ambassador.
It is true. No,
it's true. Using it as performance focused.
That is why they do it. Is to avoid getting sick.
But you don't have to be an ambassador for a private jet company to increase your performance.
I mean,
I don't hate him getting the money back, but
they cost a lot.
Personally, environment-wise, I don't like it. That's my personal opinion. I wouldn't force that upon anyone.
Yeah, I mean, like they're on good money, but they're not on that much money. Like say, say he's on.
Let your Pitcock.
Like say Van der Poel's on 5 mil.
Yeah,
right?
Probably more.
Luke, how much a private jet run you?
How would he know?
Yeah, so 15K a pop, and he's got to go from Dubai to Alicante to golf course
every
to Belgium. Let's say he's taken 20 private jets a year.
Yeah, but also we got to talk about more than just Mathieu van der Poel then, because there's a lot of cyclists in the peloton.
That's the thing. That's
not
the thing.
A lot, but there's multiple cyclists in the peloton that take private jets for stupid reasons.
Many cyclists take them. It's not just Van der Poel. But I'm just saying it could be running him like 300K a year. It could be 10% of his. And let's say, what's the tax rate in Belgium?
Bro,
does he get discount tax rate? Yeah, he gets discount, right? So let's say net Van der Poel's getting 3 mil in his pocket.
Okay.
He's paying 10% of his net to PJs.
Well, in his pocket, but his expenses on private jets also go into his company expenses, which take away some of his taxes as well.
Benji knows this.
My private jet expenses also go into my company expenses, buddy.
Yeah, Benji's taking private jets. That's why he's. I'm just saying.
The local supermarket.
Just saying that, like, probably he's looking at this financial spreadsheet like, fuck, 300 grand on private jets. Can we get a deal with this company?
One fucking private jet and I'm broke.
Benji, people don't actually realize Benji always says, I ain't flying fucking Vueling or Ryanair to Barcelona and getting the bus. He gets a private jet to Lucé d'Urgell. He says, I'm like the big boys.
Of course. And to my golf simulator in Dubai as well.
Golf simulator in England. Where it's not who's winning tomorrow.
Oh, Jesus, what a topic change.
Merlier, I'm going Milan. Hopefully they'll get through it safely. Hope you enjoyed the pod.
Worst case, take a private jet to the finish line, eh?
Listen, I mean, he's in the yellow jersey now. Maybe he gets that bonus. PJ from the rest day to the start in the Pyrenees.
Instead of the helicopter drama from a couple of years ago.
That's the thing they take. I mean, in the race, I can really understand it. So listen, I can understand that if you train on a mountain 2 times 3 weeks away from your family, you really want to get sick traveling? We've all got sick traveling.
Mate, last week, me.
Yeah, exactly. Me and you were so used to being hermits that we just get sick whenever we interact with the world at large. So that's kind of on us, I would say. All right, that was the punchy stage. Van der Poel does the business. Alpecin can't stop winning Tour de France stages. And we'll see you with the recap of the sprint stage tomorrow. Until then, ciao, ciao, ciao.